today's video, I'm going to have a quick look at what's gone on in last night's market action. From there, we're going to have a quick talk about central banks and the uneasiness of the weakening dollar. And then as well as this, we're going to look at what's happening with NFP tonight. Hello and welcome to another ACY Securities Market Update. My name is Alistair Schultz. I'm going to be your host through today's trading journey. The first thing that I'm looking at today is the stock slides that we've seen last night. The market has slipped overall and we're expecting the Asian session to also show us some slipping there later in the day. Now, so far, US equities have tumbled. S&P 500 down 3.5% and the Nasdaq down 5.8%. Apple is down nearly $180 billion with an 8% drop in their share price. The world's top 10 rich list from stocks has got a $44 billion combined loss so far. And then, of course, tech and high-flying stocks have also had a bit of a rundown as well. Now, the big losses that we've seen so far have really come from Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, and Google, who are all down significantly. But interestingly enough, travel stocks have turned green for the day ending yesterday. Now, looking a little bit further to give you a bit of an idea on what happened on the Nasdaq, you can see this picture-perfect double top appearing in price. Now, of course, if you were awake in the late night session, you may have been able to get in on this. I have marked it up to see what you could have done, and it was still working. So it has pulled out and given us a little bit more than what the 100% return should have been and gone a little bit further than that. Now, similar patterns have appeared on other charts as well. S&P 500 has something that kind of looks like it, but is imperfect. This is really the best example I was able to find this morning. Now, looking at what my thoughts are and what it actually says to me, the same amount of money is still in the market. Investors are really questioning some of those lofty valuations that we've been seeing in the last couple of weeks. Now, naturally, we've been seeing the tech stocks fly up for a number of weeks, including a number of months, really. Now, the interesting part about all this with the travel stocks, we've got things like Carnival Corp, Delta Airlines, and of course, United Airlines and RCL all showing that prices have come up a little bit for them. To me, that signifies there's possibly been a little bit of a redistribution. So perhaps some tech companies or perhaps some investors have decided the over lofty valuations and they've not thought there's not that much value there and they've decided to go for something that they see as having a little bit more value in it. So the question really is now, is this a pullback or the start of something else like a bear market? In my mind, I'm not ready to really give up on the bull run. Whilst I am known to be a little bit more bearish as a mentality, I'm thinking that the trend is still your friend and it does provide a neat opportunity for perhaps a little bit of a buy the dip opportunity. Of course, we can't say that with absolute certainty. So it is still time to be a little bit conservative about where things are going. And naturally, keep in mind that I've always thought that these high prices are not really all that valuable and there is something missing from the equation to say that they are actually worth the money that they're commanding. Now, moving on from that, we're having a look at central banks. Now, obviously, we've heard a lot of stuff coming from the Fed the last couple of weeks, and we know that the US dollar has been weakening week on, week on, week on. So now I'm starting to think that perhaps central banks around the globe are starting to get a little bit uneasy about this. Every time we sort of do start to see the US dollar slide down, it does cause problems for imports and exports of other countries. So their central banks try and inflate or change the value of their prices depending to make the matches all that little bit better so they get better deals on their currency exchange rates. Now, of course, global banks being concerned about this means that we're likely to see a couple of things happen. It's always been known that the ECB usually defends and tries to bring the price of the euro down above the 120 mark. The highest it gets to is usually about 125, and then we see it being pushed down again. So I'm anticipating to see something around that. Of course, we've already heard signals from the RBNZ and Governor Orr signaling that he's planning on easing to help ease matters and further stimulate the economy. From there, we've seen some other central banks also signaling across from UK right through to Japan that they might consider easing as well to help with the weakening US dollar for their own domestic economies. Now, tonight obviously is non-farm payroll. The ADP on Wednesday signaled that they were expecting to have 1.2 million jobs added to the market. Instead, we saw 428,000. So that's obviously a significantly smaller number than what they were expecting. Tonight's Bureau of Labor Statistics suggestion says that unemployment change is likely to come up to 1.3 million and that the unemployment rate will decrease down to 9.8%. Now, interestingly, when we looked at the unemployment claims last night, we saw 880,000 claims. Now, whilst that is back down under 1 million, it is still quadruple the amount that we've seen pre-COVID levels. So are these expectations a little bit high? Are they a bit low? You'll need to be the judge of that and make up your own mind. However, we do know a couple of different things. If we do have the price rise, or we have the numbers rise a little bit and we see more jobs than were expected, that's obviously going to be good for the economy, and I would expect to see good things coming out that recording on your charts. Now, if it's negative and we see worse numbers than we were anticipating, then of course that's going to be bad for the economy. And then if we get right on the money and it is the expected, chances are it's already been priced in. So there are a couple of things there for you to think about tonight. Now, on for the news ahead. Obviously, NFP is the big one. We've also got Canadian unemployment change and the unemployment rate for them coming out as well. But generally, we're not having as much focus on that considering it's NFP today as well. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. If you do have any questions on today's video or maybe some of my other ones, feel free to shoot me an email at talk2al@acy.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this video so you can get more great content from me and ACY Securities in the future. Have a great trading day ahead.